Traveling 911.
I accidentally killed somebody.
You think you killed somebody?
No, I know I did. My sister. I feel so messed up.
Hello guys, namaste, welcome back to my channel. This is Amisha Singh Chauhan, and if you're looking for something fun, dark and mysterious, then you're at the right place. So do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so that every time I'm here, you'll get to know about it. So before I begin with today's case, it's not really a disclaimer, but I would like to state out a fact that nowhere when I'm talking about antisocial disorder in this video, am I insinuating that people who have antisocial disorder like sociopath or psychopath, they would end up killing people around them. Yes, there is a possibility, but we cannot say that everyone who has this would end up killing people, because trust me, when I was doing my research on true crime, not every killer or rapist is diagnosed or was diagnosed with psychopath or sociopath. So let's just move ahead with this video. Another thing, it's an educational video and nowhere am I intending to humiliate or insult anyone. No offense to anybody. So today's video is about Paris Lee Bennet, a psychopath, a sociopath. You would hear me using these terms interchangeably, in very specific in this case. So Paris Lee Bennet, and what happened and how did he end up killing his 4-year-old sister Ella Bennett? So on 4th of Feb 2007, Paris Lee Bennet dialed 911 at the middle of night and told the dispatcher that he thinks that he has killed someone. And when the dispatcher, the 911 call operator, asked him, is he sure that he killed someone? He's like, I know that I have killed someone and that someone is my sister. And he said that he feels really messed up and he doesn't know how to deal with this situation. Responding to which, the operator, the dispatcher, asked him where his sister was and how old she was and what was her name. So he told her that her name is Ella and she was 4 years old then. So she asked where Ella was and he told her that she was on the bed and she was dead. So immediately the dispatcher responded by asking him to put her on her back on the floor so that he could do CPR on her 30 times. Now that is what dispatcher asked him to do, which he replied by saying that it is of no use. He know that she is dead. He stabbed her 17 times. He did not really use that number then, but then it is later on found out that he indeed stabbed her 17 times. But then the dispatcher persists him to put her on her back on the floor so that he could do CPR on her, which he did. Now, when he was doing the CPR, the dispatcher had asked him to count aloud every time he gave her a CPR, which he did. If you listen to the 911 call, which is out there on YouTube or various other platforms, you will realize that he is actually weeping and he's crying and he's counting 1, 2, and so on and so forth. Now, from the moment he called 911 to the point that the police officers reached the Bennett's house, they found Paris Lee Bennet, who was 13-year-old then, mind you guys, near the main door. On the phone, he was talking to the dispatcher then as well. So immediately the police officers are like, okay, where is your sister? Where is she? And he goes on saying that she's in her bedroom. And the police officers go inside and find Bella on the floor, dead. She was immediately declared dead. Now here the question comes that where were the parents? Was there a caretaker? Was there a babysitter? How were these kids alone in the house? Now we'll get to that point. So apparently, Paris Lee Bennett's mother and Ella's mother, she was working in a restaurant and a bar called Buffalo Wild Wings in Abilene. And that day was Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and we know how people are crazy about football, frankly speaking. So she thought of doing overtime over there, because it would be crowded and she would earn extra money. And she was a single mother, so she really needed this money. So she was doing overtime. But at the same time, there was a babysitter who was a college graduate who was left responsible to take care of these kids. Now, I know there are a lot of questions coming. Where was a babysitter when this happened? We'll get to that. So around 5 o'clock in the morning, the police officers, they go to the restaurant, they talk to the manager, and she is called to the manager's office of the restaurant. Now, she is not expecting anything. Like for any parent, this would be the last news they would ever expect to hear. So as soon as she opens opens the door of the manager's office, she finds these police officers sitting and waiting for her. So as soon as she walks in, they go on saying that I'm so sorry to tell you, but your daughter is hurt. And immediately she slips into a panic mode. She's like, oh my god, what has happened? Where is she? Take me to her, take me to her. That was a pretty obvious reaction, frankly speaking. So the police officers very calmly told her that I'm sorry, we cannot take you to her. She is dead. And then it clicks in her head that the brother, the 13-year-old brother, Piers Lee Bennet, was also with her. So where was he? She asked them, where's my son? Where's my son Piers? Is he all right? Is he hurt too? What is happening over here? Then the police officers go on that do not worry about your son. We have him. And actually, it is your son who killed your daughter. It literally gives me goosebumps saying that son and daughter and killed in one sentence. So anyways, as soon as Charity hears that, Charity is the mother, Charity hears this, she zones out. She couldn't make any sense of what they were saying. It was very puzzling for her. All she wanted to do was go to her kids. So somewhere around 6 in the morning, much later, she is allowed to step inside the house, which was the crime scene. Now, as soon as she steps in the house, she literally begs the investigators and paramedics to allow her to see her daughter, because if she wouldn't have done that, it would be very difficult for her to digest the fact that her daughter was no more and she was brutally murdered. So they take out a body bag in which Ella was put in and they zip it down to her chin, because nobody really wanted a mother to see her daughter in such a condition. So even though she was like zipped down in such a condition, and it was a terrible sight where a daughter was lying dead in a body bag, the brother was arrested for the murder of his own sister, and the mother over there was hugging the body of her daughter who was dead and screaming and apologizing for not being there for her. So this is what happened on 4th February and 5th February of 2007. Now let's talk about investigation and the trial and prosecution. So before the autopsy came out, the story that Piers was delaying and delivering to everyone was that he killed his sister because he was hallucinating. This is the exact same word he used when he was talking to the 911 dispatcher. He even told her that he was hallucinating, and as soon as he saw her sister, he saw her in a demonic form. He saw her head being on fire. Long story short, she was demonic to him, and he felt threatened and he attacked her so as to protect himself and his sister. Now, when the autopsy report came, everything changed. Everything. The moment he called 911, the moment he dialed 911, everything he said, everything the 13-year-old Piers Lee Bennet uttered was all nothing but lie, except the fact that he indeed killed his sister. Now, you remember he said that he was hallucinating, he was seeing things, and he thought that his sister was demon. That's why he attacked her. But the fact was, all of this was pre-planned. He was a very calculative, super intelligent guy. He was genius. He had an IQ of 141, which only 0.025% of people on this earth have. So yes, he was literally a genius, and he had this all planned out. Now listen to me before you start questioning in the comment section. When the autopsy report came, it came out state in facts that before he stabbed his sister, 4-year-old sister Ella, 17 times, he actually tortured and abused her physically by beating her, choking and strangulating her. There were marks on her wrists, palms and hands, which clearly signified the fact that she was trying to defend and protect herself when she was abused by her own brother. Not only that, it was also found out during the investigation that just before killing his sister, he was actually binge watching sexual content on his computer while he told the babysitter that he was doing his homework. Not only the fact that he was binge watching on sexual content, but he was actually watching BDSM sexual content. Now, again, I'm going to repeat, not only that, he was actually also watching snuff videos. Now, if you're someone who doesn't know what snuff videos are, then welcome to the gang, because even I had no idea. I literally Googled after I read snuff videos. Now, these snuff videos apparently similar to sexual content, but they have more than just that. They have criminal activities shown as well. criminal activities like rape, murder, and everything. I'm just sticking to things right now. So yes, he was watching these stuffs on internet, and then he later went to the babysitter and convinced her and manipulated her. Again, I'm saying we are talking about a very charming, super calculative and articulative 13-year-old child who is a genius, okay? So he goes to the babysitter, he convinces her that she can leave because it was pretty late and it was absolutely fine. The mother was okay with leaving Ella to her brother alone. So yes, the babysitter leaves, and as soon as she leaves, Paris Lee Bennet enters his sister's room and he finds Ella sleeping on her bed, and that is when he started abusing her. Now let's talk about what abuse did he do. We know that he stabbed her 17 times, he physically beat her, strangulated and choked her, but also during forensic investigation, they found out his DNA sample not only on Ella's bed but also on Ella's body. And when I'm saying DNA sample, I mean semen. So it clearly points out that he was getting sexual pleasure this entire time. When Ella was getting close to her death, Paris was getting close to climax. That is all the fact we know about autopsy report. Now, as soon as the mother reads the autopsy report, everything changes, because till then she was thinking that her son was mentally sick, he was hallucinating, and that is how he killed her. But as soon as she got to know about the autopsy report and everything her daughter had to suffer, she got really mad. Before she was handling with patience and compassion, I would say, but now she was really mad at her son. So she immediately confronts him and she goes like, what did you do? I know you did it with purpose. It was not hallucination. You were lying the entire time. He literally bangs his hands on the table, pushes it off on her, and gets up violently and laughs at her face. Now it is weird. She was not expecting this reaction. Frankly speaking, she was expecting some kind of remorse or apology, regret on his face. But there he was laughing at her. And then he goes, oh my god, you people, you guys are effing stupid. It took you so long to realize who I am and what I am. And he was laughing and smirking at her. And she was startled. She was not expecting this at all. Another thing that came out in the investigation was that he never did CPR on her, because when police entered the bedroom, they found Ella on the floor like the dispatcher had suggested, but instead on her back, she was face down on the floor. So no way had he done CPR on her. And this entire time when he was counting aloud, pretending to do CPR on her, he was just walking around and he was crying. He was acting to cry, because a mother, she clearly mentioned in her book that he was actually acting, and she could make out from his voice that he was just acting. Second thing was, before he dialed 911, he had actually called his friend, and he spoke to that friend for 6 long minutes, telling how he hurt his sister. Now, immediately the trial gets into procedure and everything is working super fast. Now here we have Charity, who's stuck between defense attorney's office, where she was trying to defend her son, Paris. She was trying to fight and to get as minimal punishment as possible for him, also to find treatment for him. And on the other hand, she was being Ella's mother by trying to get justice for her 4-year-old daughter who was murdered by her own son. I can't even imagine the kind of turmoil she had been, and it was pretty obvious because she was actually diagnosed with PTSD, that is post-traumatic stress disorder, also MDD, that is major depressive disorder. Now, during the investigation, it came out that indeed it was his fault, and he was convicted and he was put into prison for 40 years. He would be actually put in for a parole in 2027 by the time he would be 33 years old. Now, during the entire trial procedure, he was put into a lot of psychological and psychiatrical tests to analyze if he had any kind of mental disorder or mental illness. And it came out that indeed he had antisocial disorder. He was diagnosed with psychopath, and not only that, he was also diagnosed with narcissism. Now, during this mental investigation, when the doctors, when the psychiatrists, they started giving their results about him being a sociopath or a psychopath, he stopped contributing towards that process. He stopped giving these tests, because if you ask, in my opinion, he was trying to do this so as to in future, when he's put for parole, it would not go against, or they would not use this against him. He also did not go for fMRI, which was suggested, so as to analyze his amygdala. It's kind of a study, a research, where they analyze amygdala and accordingly they come up to a conclusion about psychopath. Now, one of the psychologists who was involved in this case, he actually suggested Charity to not spend any money on him and to use that money instead to change her identity and of her son Phoenix, who was born after Ella's death, and just change her address as well, because if in future, if he ever gets out of the jail, her life would be in danger for sure. But Charity, she comes out saying that she has this unconditional love, that when he was born, she promised to him that whatever happens, she would stand with him, and there were no terms and conditions applied to that. So yes, she has forgiven him, but at the same time, she cleans on says that she knows that her son has a dark side, and she does not deny or ignore the fact that her life would be in danger if he ever comes out. Now, the thing is that why did he do this? This is the biggest question. Let's talk about what, according to him, or what according to the mother Charity, was the reason. Now, just a year before the killing, Charity had a history of drug addiction. When she was a teenager, she was on heroin, but then she was clean for a very long period of time. Now, like I said, she had a relapse, and it literally affected Paris in a very negative manner. He was mad, he was angry at her, he felt like he was not important enough, and that is why she was using drugs. Now, to be honest, I feel that is pretty much expected of a child, but not every child who has an addictive parent would end up killing their sibling or end up being so violent. Though it is to be noted that Paris had said that yes, this was one of the reasons, but not the reason. He said that he was going through a pain, he was suffering through something, and he wanted his mother to suffer in the same exact manner. He wanted her to feel the pain that he was having. Now, initially, he had thought of killing his mother as well as his sister. He actually had two reasons why he did not kill his mother. First, he realized that killing someone was physically too hard, and Charity and Paris, they were almost of the same height and size, so he knew it would be very difficult to overpower her, and he thought that he would end up getting injured. Second reason was he realized that if he would kill Charity, his mother, then she would only suffer for 10 to 15 minutes. But if he kills her daughter, his own sister, then she would suffer for her entire life till her last breath. And in one swoop, he took two important things out of Charity's life, both of her kids, one to death and one to criminal justice. Now, another thing that comes out in such cases is, was it nature or was it nurture? Now, let's talk about nature for a second. So, Paris Lee Bennett's grandmother, maternal grandmother, that is Charity's mother, Kyla Bennett, she was actually accused and charged of murdering her own husband. Now, around this time, Charity was only 5 or 6 years old. She does not remember her father much, but it was pretty obvious that her father was involved in a lot of illegal activities. But at the same time, Charity has her own suspicion that indeed her mother was involved with killing of her father. Now, moving ahead, Paris Lee Bennett's biological father, whose name is not really mentioned in the entire case. We don't know about his identity except the fact that he was a swimmer. So Paris Lee Bennett's biological father was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He was having audio and visual hallucinations. That was what he was complaining about. Now, we can clearly make out that these tendencies and mental illnesses were in fact in his blood. Now, I would like to mention a small incident, not a small incident, a very important incident actually, which took place just a year before the killing. So apparently, Paris ended up doing something bad and he was put into timeout, and he did not like it. So he immediately rushed to the kitchen, he took a knife, went outside of the house, and when Charity saw this, she got immediately afraid of what he was going to do with the knife. So she walks out in the garden, and over there, Paris literally goes near her and starts waving the knife at her. Now, somehow they try to calm him down, and he is immediately taken to a nearby hospital, that was Red River Hospital. Now, over there, the doctor concludes that indeed Paris Lee Bennet had suicidal as well as homicidal tendencies. Now, over here, things get a bit uncertain because according to some articles, the doctors were not really communicating well with the mother, and that's why she felt like it was of no use to put him in that hospital, and that's why she shifted to Abilene, Texas. But on the other hand, the mother said that she knew, and she does not regret this, that even if she would have put him in there, in that hospital, he wouldn't have been cured. Now, concluding this case, he is indeed on for a parole in 2027, where he will be 33. And if he completes his sentence, he would come out of the jail at the age of 53. Whatever the situation is, I feel, it is my opinion, that if he ever comes out of the jail, obviously charity, the mother charity, would be in danger, because the mother herself says that if he's put in a circumstance, he would end up killing people. Though in various interviews, he says and he talks about how he regrets of not having a normal life, like how he could not get wasted in a party, he never attended high school and things like that, but he never really apologized or looks remorseful for what he did with his sister. He does not realize that he regrets the fact that he never went to high school. He should think that his sister never had a chance to go to kindergarten or complete it. It really saddens me thinking about Ella's last minute. Like, the entire life she had, a very small life of 4 years, she thought and she looked up to her brother. They shared an amazing bond. That is what Charity believed. Now, she had never imagined that the brother she immensely loved would end up killing her. And on the other hand, I think about the mother who had to hear so many things, so many allegations and so many judgments from people. I would never judge her because, again, I don't know what is happening. I'm not a mother, I'm not a parent, but I can't even imagine how it feels to lose 2 kids at the same time because of various different reasons. And I don't even want to talk about Lee Bennet because that is something really is very disgusting. So anyways, that's all for the video. I hope you guys found it informative and interesting. Also, I will put the link of Ella Foundation, which was started by Charity Bennett. It is for people who are affected by violence or mental illness and people in criminal justice. If you'd like, you can check it out. It's an amazing foundation. You should definitely contribute if you can. Also, you guys take care of yourself and I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye bye.